from the start. We'll see if we have something similar occurring here, or if both players get out of it on equal footing.
All right, well, we've gotten the final signal, and it looks like the race is about to get started. And we're off. All right, who42baker starting off, just a big 20 in the Link's house.
All right, we have who42baker just about to drop into the sewer, and we are going to be seeing what our initial weapon is in just a few moments.
Absolutely, moment of truth. It is the Cane of Samaria.
Definitely some creativity can be had with the cane with the opening rooms here. We see who42baker going ahead and giving the enemies a little bit of block treatment.
Yes. This is actually, I commentated a race earlier tonight, and it was the Cane of Samaria yet again. And there's that bomb we were saying they would need to farm, so who42baker getting that taken care of pretty quickly.
Be interesting to see if he is satisfied with just that single bomb, or if he decides to try his hand at getting it some more bombs as well. But certainly that one bomb is a weight off his shoulders.
We shall certainly see as this race unfolds. So, with standard randomizer, you still go through the Zelda escape sequence and get Zelda to Sanctuary, and from there, the world is your oyster, and you can go about as you please. who42baker was getting a little close on health, but got it taken care of there.
Interesting, B- also killed the enemy that dropped 20 rupees, but elected not to collect it, so a slight rupee advantage for Baker in the early stages.
And we got a map in the first chest of the escape. Alright. Both runners had a little bit of trouble with that green guard, but both are certainly using are aggroing the guard and having them run right into the block. Certainly an interesting strategy there.
Absolutely. You can either toss the block and then have it shoot out, or there's any number of ways that the cane can do its necessary damage here. Now, who is only on half a heart, so he's going to need to exercise some extreme caution here. Falling at this point, certainly not ideal.
Yeah, he was able. There are 3 hearts there in those pots, so should be able to get his health refilled. Very nice by B- of trapping the guard in the corner. Usually I say you put cold stare in a corner, but today we put the ball and chain card in a corner.
So we now have both of our racers now escaping with Zelda in tow. With the map collected, the remaining chests in this sequence will all contain items, so let's see if we can find something of a little more value than what we found thus far.
Absolutely. For those that may be new to Randomizer, the way it works is that the dungeon items are still within their respective dungeons, so you can figure out the item count based on what dungeon items you have not completed yet. So in Hyrule Castle, it's just a small key and a map, And so because we found both of those, that means everything else is going to be an item going forward. The runners will certainly use that to their advantage in terms of trying to realize when they're done checking chests and can just head on straight to the boss from there.
Okay, and as our players enter the sewer, we still just have the Cane of Samaria to work with, so we'll see how well they can use that weapon to defeat, at minimum, the rat containing the last small key, and to get out of here.
And that rat can certainly cause problems, especially when you don't have a permanent weapon like the sword. But both of these runners have been showing pretty proficient with using the Cane of Samaria.
Yep, Who trying to farm some of the snakes to with not the results he was looking for. B- just making a beeline for the back of the sewers.
Yep, and B- was able to get a bomb, so both of them have the necessary bomb for the back of escape.
And it looks like that rat is being rather evasive, but B- eventually takes it down, and Who42baker is now well-placed block to defeat both rats in one go.
Using your corners is proving to be very useful with the Cane of Samaria. All right, 3 items here. Let's see what we got. We got Ether Medallion, 10 arrow upgrade, and 10 arrows itself. So that ether won't actually be useful until we find a sword.
Nice to get an early medallion out of the way in the event that Mire and Turtle Rock become required. You never know what you're going to get, and it's nice to have to lower the odds of being blocked sooner than later.
All right, last item in the Sanctuary chest. It is the Power Glove.
It is so bad, and that opens up a lot of options for our runners now. A key progression out of there with the glove.
Yeah, usually that Power Glove opens up back of escape, but because it's standard mode, we've already gotten there. So it'll certainly help, and it's one of the items necessary to get to the Dark World, but we'll certainly see what we get. Tree pool today having a small magic. Alright, let's see what we have in the Lumberjack Cave. It is just a 5 arrow upgrade. Single rupees from the bush crabs.
So at the moment, certainly doesn't appear to be an Agaseed, but you never know.
Considering the last race I had a similar setup and it turned out to be an Agaseed, it's just because there's not a guaranteed item there doesn't mean that's your Dark World access.
Certainly not. We have just a trio of bombs at the mushroom position, but with no bombs in possession, the runners are certainly going to go ahead and grab them.
Absolutely. Especially with not having the 100 rupees from the bottle vendor, you certainly don't want to spend 50 like you just found in the Lost Woods hut to pay off the bottle vendor.
With those bombs, our runners will be able to route in Blind's hideout and the Kakariko well without having to make any additional trips for bomb collection.
Absolutely. All right, B- making the way into Blind's hut.
All right, we got B- doing the necessary pushing of the blocks to reveal the items. We have a heart container. The flute. Very nice to get the flute in this part. You can just activate it right away. And then 20 rupees and a piece of heart to round out the set of 4 there.
Yes, but that flute is going to be huge. And another heart container in the back. So especially with that flute pointing towards Death Mountain, getting some health to try to get through those falling rocks will certainly be useful.
And we're taking a look into the well now from B-minus's viewpoint here.
Got a 5-arrow upgrade there. We got a piece of heart. Powder. That's always nice to find. 50 bucks and another piece of heart. Bottle vendor just giving you a 20% return on investment.
And B-minus is wisely going ahead and activating the flute, because why wouldn't you at this point?
Yep. Who42 going I have not seen that. That was
okay. Wow, that's an interesting routing decision, but I can't fault him too much. That's a new one on me as well.
Certainly, indeed. Doesn't really help with the race, but hey, you learned something new. We got Swagnet and Chicken Shack.
With the powder and the net collected, if our runners need a little bit of safety, once they get some bottles, they can certainly snag some fairies if they feel the need to do so.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, to honor Hyrule, please join us in the playing of the National Swag Deck Anthem.
Absolutely glorious. Always brings a tear to my eye.
And the pheasant is present for both runners.
We now have swords for both of our runners here. B-minus collecting it, and who42baker following suit now, getting their first sword in the tavern.
Yes. Well, we got a map check. Blue Pendant was at Desert Palace. Crystals were at Eastern and Hera, but neither were 5-6 crystals.
Indeed. So both the green pendant and the red crystals reside in Dark World somewhere.
And actually, B-minus was getting ready to flute out and then saw the Master Sword on the race game and dodged the duck to make sure that he picks up that Master Sword.
A clutch miss of the duck if I ever saw one. B-minus collects his trash, and who42baker will be following suit. And with the flute in tow, our B-minus fluting directly to the dam.
Yeah, B-minus selecting to drain the swamp first for blue mail down there. How convenient.
Got to match his hearts after all. So he's now going to be checking the back of, or rather the first room, to see what the opening chest is in the dam here, and it is the mushroom.
Yes, we have mushrooms growing in the swamp. How convenient.
Absolutely. Now with the flute in tow, they can quickly warp to the mushroom, the potion vendor, to quickly get that check over and done with, should they choose to do so.
Yep, B-minus heading over to Mini Trolldorm Cave first. B- making good work of the mini troll arms with that master sword. All right, let's see what we got here. We have 10 bombs, 5 arrow upgrade, a heart container, Fisher Price my first shield, and 20 bucks. Actually, B- electing to forego the Ice Rod Cave and just heading straight for Death Mountain.
Meanwhile, who42baker is going to go into the Ice Rod Cave and see what we have in store. I guess he wants to go ahead and get this corner of the light world out of the way while he's here. Certainly cannot fault him for wanting to do so.
Yes, I mean, if it's this is one of those gambles that if it doesn't pay off, B- could be looking for something for a while. But it is just triple bombs, so no harm, no foul, and a heart container from the old man for bringing him home.
B- navigating the dark to go ahead and get to the old man's location rather, and he will be ascending the west side of Death Mountain to see what the Spectacle Rock and West Cave has in store.
Meanwhile, who42baker is setting up a fake flipper. Normally you need the flippers to swim, but if you transition screens immediately after jumping in the water, you can do the fake flipper as you're seeing here. It is a sequence break though, so it is not, the logic will not force you to do this, so nothing that who42baker finds will be considered in logic.
Meanwhile, both items on the western portion of Death Mountain are 20 rupees on each. So we now have B- warping to warp 0.5 and is now going to give Sahasrara a check and perhaps dive into Eastern Palace thereafter.
Hobo just having a heart container as well. All right, time to see what Sahasrara is hiding in his closet today.
And we have some sticks, some bombs, and the hook shot. Definitely the preferred of the three.
Yes, the hook shot indeed is certainly something you'd like to see. Unfortunately, you would have preferred to see it before you went up to Death Mountain, but, well, you know.
Beggars and choosers. There you go. Exactly. Hey, synchronization is always fun. All right, and B- going right back to Harry is now going to see about clearing out Eastern Death Mountain now that he has the means of accessing it.
Yep. You'll have 7 items in Paradox Cave and 1 in Spiral Cave. who42baker pick up that hook shot as well.
All right, well, who42baker with the hook shot is still electing to dive into Eastern. We got B- now checking the litany of chests here. We have just some rupees and a heart piece for the opening 2 spots.
Yes, a very healthy seed, but not a lot of items that are towards progression at this point.
Still desperate for a moon pearl at this point.
Yep. All right, 20 bucks. 10 bomb upgrade, 20 bucks. Piece of heart, and a moon pearl.
What do you know? There we have the moon pearl. Now, we still do not have complete access. We do not have Dark World access yet for B- with just the Power Glove, but he's certainly well on his way with the moon pearl collected.
Okay, let's see what's up here on the floating island. It is the fire rod. All right, so you're gonna need some Titan's mitts before you can get back to, before you can get that fire rod and get to apparently Skullwoods. We found a bottle in the second chest of Eastern Palace on who42baker's side.
Absolutely, and not only will they need the Titan's mitts, they also need to be able to see themselves in the mirror as well. So definitely 2 steps away from being able to collect the fire rod if it indeed becomes a required item here.
Yep, piece of heart in Spiral Cave and $50 in Eastern. So nothing much there yet.
With the big key collected, who goes ahead and checks the big chest and reveals just a little bit of parchment.
Yep. B- turning in that mushroom, so we're gonna see what the witch has in store for us today.
And the witch has the hammer in store, so that is a huge find for B-. That gives him access to the Dark World now from any number of portals.
Yes. who42baker going through the dark rooms in Eastern without the lamp. This is again a sequence break.
Ooh, B- on his way to the south of Link's house portal, picking up a bomb there from a 50-50 spot there. Very nicely done there.
And just a compass on Eastern. All right. Skullwoods green pendant, Thieves Town red pendant, Swamp and Turtle Rock are your 5-6 crystals.
So that definitely means that floating island fire rod will definitely need to get collected at some point before Turtle Rock can be completed for sure. So our runners will definitely want to make note of that. And it is time to see how this hype cave is this go round.
All right, let's start off with a 5-arrow upgrade. $20. Bombos medallion, $20. And Titan's mitts.
I would say that fulfilled the hype quota this time.
I would certainly concur with that. The world is pretty much your oyster with those Titan's mitts. You can access anywhere in the world at this point.
And it looks like the Stumpy has the lamp as well, so B- will not have to worry any longer about having to navigate rooms in the dark. B- now, after collecting that lamp, is now going to check the digging game now.
Let's see how many digs it takes to dig up an item. This is one thing that is not as randomized, but the same for both runners.
Meanwhile, while B- is digging a hole, we have who42baker now going through the Eastern Death Mountain items, where he'll be glad to find a moon pearl very shortly.
A lot of digs so far. Well into 20 at this point, and red mail for your digging troubles.
B- electing to go ahead with the Titan's mitts, now has the means to be able to access the village of outcasts from the south side, and appears to be doing just that.
Yeah, with that hammer, that pretty much means well, you can full clear Thieves Town, but Thieves Town is a pendant, so I don't know if you necessarily want to go in there just yet. B- electing to do Pig Cave instead, which I would fully concur with.
He may wish to go ahead and check the first 4 while he's in the neighborhood, but we'll see if he decides to do that or not here.
Just Blue Rupee and Peg Cave.
Baker, now discovering the location of the fire rod, is now going to wrap around Spiral Cave to finish out his Death Mountain trip.
Yep. All right, bomb shack check. Buy bomb upgrade.
Seems fitting.
Just $20 there in the C-shaped house.
Bima is now going into the chess game here. And he will collect a piece of heart along with his 50 rupees as well. Both runners now really looking for something to allow them to complete a dungeon at this point. I do not believe that any dungeon, a crystal dungeon rather, is currently completable at this point. So with that, B- is going to go ahead and take a dive into Thieves Town.
Yep. And who42baker is going to do a hula hand to get some money. I imagine this is for Zora.
Meanwhile, we have the Pegasus boots for B-. So B- getting a huge return on his investment for his pendant dungeon check.
Yes, we do in fact have boots.
Baker now performing yet another fake flipper, presumably to warp to Zora to spend his hopefully 500 rupees. He's currently 10 short of the fee that King Zora imposes.
Yep. Now, earlier when who42 fake flippered, he could only do hobo, because in order to do the river walk or Jesus walk, whatever you want to call it, as we find a big heart and a little heart in the Waterfall of Wishing, you need the Moon Pearl in order to do that. If you don't have the Moon Pearl, the trick that who42baker did of going in and out and being able to walk will not work at all.
Absolutely not. Now, Baker needs to be careful not to step on any non-aquatic surfaces at this point to retain the walking on water state. Meanwhile, B- electing to go ahead and full clear Thieves Town, not satisfied with just collecting the boots. He's going to go ahead and completely get that off the list of possible locations.
Certainly, I mean, to your earlier point, they don't have a crystal dungeon they can complete. So, I mean, it certainly is a gamble at this point, but it may pay off.
Meanwhile, Baker, having left the water, is now back to the standard state of flipperless travel here, but he is now trying to farm for 10 more rupees so he can pay King Zora off, but it looks like he's resigned to leaving and will go elsewhere.
Yep, and that's unfortunate. So it looks like we found $50 in the maiden's chest, and at that point, B- is just gonna nope on out of there. Got a Peace Heart and King's Tomb. Meanwhile, who42baker's gonna check Agina's Cave. Get a fairy in a bottle. Looks like we found literacy in Bonk Rocks.
That definitely gives B- access to Desert Palace now. Now, that also being yet another pendant dungeon, it's questionable whether he's going to go ahead and give that a check for just the 2 items there, but desperate times, I suppose.
Yeah, and it looks like who42baker finally decided to go turn in that mushroom and get that hammer.
And everyone's favorite Death Mountain obstacle, providing B- a little bit of a pit stop there against his will.
Yeah, I imagine he, at this point, B- is checking Dark Death Mountain and as well as Turtle Rock.
Certainly, at the very least, determining what medallion Turtle Rock is going to require for its entrance.
And B- is making a fool of me because instead going straight for... And we're going to see an ether check and maybe Hera after that.
Certainly makes sense at this point if you're going to go ahead and check ether to go ahead and route Tower of Hera, and especially with a fire source in hand. So.
And we have B- into Hera at this point.
Okay, yes, and in the basement of Hera, or technically the first floor, we have the small key, so that we may need to deal with the basement before being able to progress. We'll have to see what the lobby chest has. Meanwhile, who42baker is traversing southwestern Dark World, rather. He's going to go ahead and get the lamp from Stumpy here.
And just a map in Hera, which means B- is going to have to take a coffee break to get the big key.
Very nicely done, B-, and go ahead and get up, stretch his legs. Just take a breather here for a brief respite before resuming his randomizer race. And we have who42baker going to be doing his necessary digging here, and he'll be getting the red mail, assuming he can get the rather high amount of digs in before the time expires. And we'll be getting the big key here in the basement of B-. This is view here.
And with that, the mirror is actually going to have to go back.
Ooh, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to activate the peg switch here. Oh, with the cane, it looks like. Will the cane reach? No, it will not. Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
It is. Just wasn't in line. And even if he wasn't, he could have just gone back into the basement and got the switch down there.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, who42baker is taking Jeremiah the Bullfrog on a little world tour.
Yeah, Yes, typically you would need the mirror to be able to quickly deposit the frog in his rightful location, but you are able to quit out and retain the blacksmith in tow, so you can go return to Light World and deposit him in that fashion. And we've got a piece of heart for B- in the big key chest of Hera, and we'll have B- facing good old Moldorm here very shortly.
That means Trolldorm does have an item with finding all the dungeon items at this point. And actually, who42baker trying to go into Thieves Town, but unfortunately, Jeremiah's like, no, I'd rather not go in there.
He and Blind aren't on good terms, it turns out.
No. All right, time for a Trolldorm. B- selecting to use the hammer. And a very textbook fight from B- for the first crystal of the game. As well as the cape.
And with that cape, let's see what who42baker shows to be in the magic cape spot. And it's just some bombs. So it doesn't look like, besides some possible safety strategies, that cape will be that much of a factor in this seed.
Nope. It certainly could help if you elect to try to get to Spike Cave at some point.
B- electing to warp and check Agina's cave before taking a dive into the Misery Mire section of the Dark World.
It is true, Mire is full clearable at this point. And the smithy's just giving you 20 bucks for your shovels. We're also gonna get Magic Bat check here. And 50 bucks from Magic Bat.
B- collecting a bottle from Agina's cave, which appears to be his first bottle. I don't believe either runner has checked Sick Kit at this juncture. Obviously, B- now collecting a bottle would not have, but it'll be interesting to see if that comes into play.
I believe who42baker did. I think it was just a piece of heart, but I could be misremembering that.
I will certainly defer to you on that one. All right, we have B- now entering Desert Palace.
Very interesting to see B- going into another pendant dungeon here. I mean, it paid off the first time with getting the boots. But
No question. So with the small key now, B- is going to go ahead and check the two locations behind the small key. Although the big key could still be on the torch, so it's not guaranteed to be in one of these two.
Well,
but there it is.
Key. And the compass. who42baker is heading up to Hera. We'll have to do his coffee break. Hopefully get Trolldorm and get the cape from Trolldorm.
Yeah, let's see what's resting on the torch. It is the Cane and Berna. So we have both invincibility items in the cape and Berna now in possession of B-.
Yeah, that could be potentially problematic, except with the cape being at Hera. You really only need one of those for getting to... Ooh, flippers!
A critical pickup with Swamp being on the agenda for our runners. At this point, it's really down to the mirror to be able to full clear Swamp, or even get into Swamp, rather.
Okay, that is huge. B- has gone into 2 pendant dungeons and found what are those and water toes in both of them. That is big.
No doubt about it. B- definitely has a leg up on who42baker now with these gambles paying off huge dividends. And who needs to be very careful. He is one tile smack away from having to do this all over again.
Using the cane to act as a shield and gets it done.
That's a little bit more of a stressful basement than who42baker would have preferred, but he navigates it fine and gets the big key for his troubles. Meanwhile, B- traversing Lake Hylia with the flippers in tow.
And heading back to do Ice Rod Cave, so, you know, he's not going to find anything there, but at least good to remember that you need to go there. And as you see there, who42baker hitting the switch, so when B- did Hera, he wouldn't have been locked out. There was a way, even if he didn't use the cane.
Absolutely not. But it's good to avoid having to go back downstairs when you don't need to. So anyways, we now have B- getting out of the Ice Rod Cave. Let's see where he elects to go next.
I would imagine this is Ice Palace or Waterfall of Wishing.
Yep, with Bombos, that's certainly a viable option, but it looks like it's going to be a Waterfall.
Yep, and unfortunately B- doesn't have enough money for Zora either, so Zora will still remain a mystery to this point.
Looks like who42baker, forgetting he had a hook shot, he didn't necessarily have to bomb jump, but he was able to do that just as well.
Sometimes it's reflexes. You forget you have something important.
Oh, I understand why he did that, because he still has yet to collect the boot, so he didn't have the means of coming back the other way without falling. So very nicely done on who42baker's part.
That makes sense, yes. And who42baker is in the Troll Dorm? Collecting these Master Sword spins as opposed to the hammer.
And we do have a sick kid check as well for B-, and it is 300 rupees, in fact. So that gives him the requisite amount to pay off King Zora.
So I was wrong. It was actually something that would be useful.
And with who42baker defeating Troll Dorm, he has now equalized the crystal count, now at 1 apiece.
That said, Desert is going to a pendant dungeon is not usually advisable, so it's going to be very interesting to see if who42baker decides to head to Desert as well. To your earlier point, though, there really is, other than Mire, there really isn't a dungeon that these runners can go to other than, like, Pod without the bow. You could do Skullwoods, but without the Fire Rod, you're not going to be able to get to Mothula. So, I mean...
Is this an early TR check from who42baker?
It certainly looks like it. So as I start rattling off places you could go, and it's Ether Medallion, so he can get in there. I was rattling off all the places he could go to see the Desert might not be as crazy of a thought, but then, oh hey, I'll just go into Turtle Rock with that, either the Fire Rod or the Ice Rod. Or I'll just open it up and then I just myself.
What? Well,
I mean, it was good for him to get at least open it up so that when you get to Turtle Rock, you don't have to worry about doing that.
Yeah, what a tease by who42. I thought he was going to do something rather unconventional, but just decided to open the door and just get that opening sequence done with. But he's now going to be checking the Dark World Death Mountain chests here and getting a boomerang and a piece of heart thus far.
Yeah, I don't think B- did Dark Death Mountain yet.
Meanwhile, B- on the way to dropping off the blacksmith is upsetting the locals.
Yeah, and need to be careful running into strangers. All right,
Let's see what our hookshot cave. We have a piece of heart, yes.
Followed by the red meringue, a heart container, and $20.
And unfortunately, without the mirror, that fire rod is just going to be taunting who42baker at this point.
Absolutely.
But it looks like Baker is going to see about diving into the spike cave.
I don't know what throwing that bomb was about, but okay. And B- is right behind him. At least onto the Dark Death Mountain portion, or on the east side, I should say.
Normally this late, using a bomb flippantly like that wouldn't be a big deal, but Baker only has 6 of them, and he did not have enough health to do that without magic, but the fairy's going to bail him out.
Yes, indeed. For Tempered Sword, nonetheless.
We'll see if losing that fairy somewhat unnecessarily is going to cost who42baker down the line.
B- seeing that it is Ether for Turtle Rock.
So taking stock of what our runners are still looking for, obviously the bow and both rods, although the fire rod has been identified, it is currently being blocked by the mirror. And there is a 33% chance that Quake may be required at Meyer. We have yet to see the Meyer medallion get identified. But that's definitely what our runners are looking for at this point.
And that mirror on its own is also required because you're going to need that to get into Swamp Palace. So we are, at the very least, 4 items away from go mode at this point.
Baker going ahead and taking a peek into the Skull Woods at this point, getting the big key out of the way right away.
You get a small key, so I have to go through the bottom room where you're guaranteed to find a key to not be soft locked.
And B- getting his Tempered Sword out of Spike Cave as well.
Iwakura, yes, mirror is required for Fire Rod, but we're also saying that because Swamp Palace is a crystal, you're going to need mirror nonetheless. Alright, just 2 items in Skullwoods. The first one is just triple bombs.
Just 2 items left to check now here, assuming that the fire rod is not located, and obviously wouldn't be in silver arrows. So that is Skullwoods cleared, and with silver arrows collected, that definitely gives who42baker some potential firepower once that bow gets collected.
Yes. But actually, B- selecting to, excuse me, sorry. Well, I was gonna try to get that fairy to get some health, forgetting that you can just talk to the witch's assistant. You're gonna get a blue potion in turn.
And Baker now going to dive into Thieves Town. He's going to be very pleased with the Pegasus boots that he should be collecting here momentarily.
Yep.
And B- now warping to 8. It looks like perhaps now we're going to see the first Ice Palace visit between the 2 of our runners.
Yes, indeed. No teasing us that time. Which would explain why B- was going to get a blue potion to get refilled. You need the magic to activate Bombos to get into Ice Palace.
All right, Baker has now collected the initial 4 chests, and it appears he will be going ahead and seeing Thieves Town through to completion.
Now, B- did go through, but then stopped at the Maiden's chest. So it'll be interesting to see if who42baker does the same or elects to go all the way and finish blind.
That certainly will be interesting to see if we see some variation between our runners in that regard. At this point, the only thing that I can foresee the pedestal possibly being of relevance would be the Ice Rod. We do not know what our pedestal contains at this point, but they would be able to, well, who-baker would not. He has not collected his book, but B- certainly could check it if you so chose.
All right, so let's figure this out. So we know Fire Rod's on Floating Island, which means you need the mirror to get there. So you need Fire Rod for Skullwoods. That means that Fire Rod and mirror can't be there because you logically need the mirror to get to the Fire Rod to finish off Skullwoods.
Absolutely.
Desert and Thieves Town, we have everything in order to complete both of those at this point. So your pedestal height index is down to the Ice Rod and the bow. Or Quake if you need Quake for Mire.
And certainly with very few options at this point for our runners, it's not out of the question that the pedestal could come into play. It's really, at this point, the mirror is going to open up so much for our runners at this point. That's really the critical item, along with the bow, I feel, at this juncture.
You still need the Ice Rod for Trinex at some point. Okay, Fire Shield in Ice Palace. And who42baker is going to take on Blind.
And with the red mail and 14 hearts, even if things don't go perfectly, there should be no major issue for Baker to dispatch Blind.
Yes, very textbook fight. Down goes Blind for a map and a pendant. B- gonna check that one chest in the iced tea room. Got the big key there.
All right, looks like Baker is going to go ahead and, well, it looked like he was going to collect the purple chest, but without the mirror, there's not good. Here we go.
He has it, but to your point, he has to save and quit to get it back to the light world, and then we'll flute to 7 and go give it to Gary.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, B- is on the latter stages of getting the Ice Palace cleared out.
So heart container. And we're gonna get a dip into the mire area by who42baker. All right, pendant from, or sorry, medallion is, wow, that was fast.
Looked like bombos.
Okay, if it is bombos, then we're good on that. Yeah, I saw in the restream it was bombos. We got half magic in the mire shed.
It looks like Baker is going to indeed go ahead and give Meyer a go here.
Meanwhile, B- will be on his way to blind. Cold stare, sorry, cold stare.
Yes, and prior to Cold Stare, it looks like he's going to top off his magic and health in the penultimate room to Cold Stare. Baker doing a very good job using the sword beam to his advantage to clear out that annoying first room of Meyer.
Yes, very nicely done there. All right, B- is in the cold stare. B- electing to not put cold stare in a corner. That red mail should give us a good protection from any cold stare hugs. Got one eyeball down. There's two. And down goes cold stare. With Ice Rod in Ice Palace on the Ice Boss. How poetic.
Well, that pretty much wraps up unless pedestal opportunities, unless it is the bow at pedestal at this point, which would be quite mean in my opinion.
Trollier things have happened in the randomizer. And B- is gonna follow who42 into the mire area.
Indeed, and it looks like we have Baker still trying to get full clear this thing before taking on Vitreous.
Alright, so with Ice Palace down, we've been to deserts, we've been to Skullwoods, we've been to Thieves Town. So if we don't find any of our items here at this point, you're either going to need to probably do a required double dip in a Turtle Rock or a gamble on Pod. Although who42 Baker still has to do desert to get the flippers.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a question on how soon does he decide to route Desert Palace into his routing here. But we have the mirror. The mirror has been located at long last for who42baker.
Here, the big vanilla big key chest in Mire. All right, so that gets us access to Swamp Palace. That gets us access to getting the Fire Rod to finish off Skullwoods. And Once you go to Ice Palace and the Ice Rod, that actually opens up Turtle Rock.
Absolutely. So B- will be well on his way. So to getting that fire rod, excuse me, the mirror, which will eventually lead to that fire rod as well. And at that point, it's really just a matter of where the bow is located. It'll be interesting to see how quickly our runners choose to get to that fire rod, and whether they go straight to Turtle Rock or if they save Turtle Rock for as late as possible.
I mean, at this point, it all comes down to the bow. Where is that bow?
Absolutely, that's going to be the determining factor right at this point. Especially if Baker can collect the bow with the silver arrows in tow as well. That may give him a leg up on B- here. So with that arrow upgrading being collected by B-, we know both locations now have been identified, so Vitreous at this point will only be providing a requisite crystal. Baker just a few rooms away from his Vitreous attempt. Meanwhile, B- is unknowingly just moments away from collecting his mirror at not a moment too soon, I am sure.
Yep, and this Vitreous fight is certainly very interesting without the bow. who42baker electing to use Tempered Sword spins. The red male helping with preventing the damage from the poisonous goo. And getting into the second phase pretty easily. Now he's gonna play volleyball with the giant volleyball. Or actually, that'd be tennis, not volleyball. But either way, down he goes.
So that is the Meyer crystal collected by Baker. B- will be following suit here in just a few minutes.
And actually, who42baker is gonna do checkerboard cave here.
Now he doesn't realize it, but if he decides to go ahead and peek into Desert Palace while he's in this part of the world, it will definitely be a huge boon for him to get the flippers out of Desert Palace.
Just $50 in checkerboard cave, and instead gonna save and quit. The longer that who42baker holds off Pendant Desert, the further behind he's gonna end up. Because on B-'s side, Swamp Palace is full clearable. Turtle Rock will be full clearable once you get the Fire Rod. It's really just a matter of the bow to do Eastern and Pod.
Interesting. It looks like the way B- routed, he had to go and get that big chest to get another key to be able to get to the backside of the palace. So we now have who42 going to collect the Baumkrotz location.
Get that literacy.
It is fundamental.
Oh, this might be a pedestal. No. Oh, maybe this is a pedestal check. He faked me out of going the wrong way, but I think we're gonna get that pedestal check.
Will it be Bo or will it be just some couch cash? We're about to find out.
Moment of truth. It's 300 bucks. Pedestal hype is dead.
who42 activated super speed there just for a brief instant, but then unfortunately went back to standard state. Meanwhile, we have B- using some pyrotechnics, it looks like, to get rid of Vitreous.
Certainly will damage them. It'll take a lot of bombs to get rid of the eyeballs, but it is a certainly a strategy if you don't have a lot of options.
And it looks like Baker is going to go ahead and check the ether spot.
Yeah, I believe B- already checked this earlier. Yeah, because it was just a green rupee.
We'll see if Baker decides to go ahead and access the floating island, meanwhile getting blocked in the meantime.
There's those dead rocks again. All right, Baker. I imagine Baker is remembering that the fire rod is here, so this is probably to go get it. And down goes Vitreous for B-.
Now, for Baker's sake, I certainly hope he does not try to dive into Turtle Rock at this point, because we know the ice rod is certainly not amongst the 5 possible locations. However, if the bow happens to be buried in there, it may still turn out profitable, but we'll just have to see.
It really would only be profitable in that, just finding it, but if you would imagine eventually B- is going to Turtle Rock.
Oh, no question.
All right, Baker gets the fire rod. And this looks like it's a play on Turtle Rock for Baker.
No. I respect the gumption for wanting to make a Turtle Rock gamble. Unfortunately, with the knowledge we have, we know that it's certainly not going to pay off for him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, Baker, of course, does not know what we know from B- already going to Ice Palace.
That, again, a major consequence of the fact that who42baker has still not checked Desert Palace and gotten the ability to access Ice Palace. That is the key difference, I feel, at this point.
The longer Baker holds off Desert, the further and further behind he's going to fall, because B- is going to have no problem finishing out Swamp Palace here. And then at that point, it's really just a matter of finding the bow, which we've done all of the pendant dungeons. So at this point, the bow is going to be somewhere that is in a place that you would, be part of your checks.
Absolutely, and I find it still pretty difficult to fault who42 that much for not wanting to check Desert Palace. It is just 2 items. It's a pendant dungeon. It's was rather fortunate for B minus to take the dive in there and come out with such a critical item.
Yeah, this is certainly not a bad play. It just happens to be the wrong play. Like last night in my race, I held off pod for the longest time, and the cane and the medallion necessary to get into Mire were both there, and it just was, but with pod being appended, it just was like, I'm not going to pod until I have to, and when I had to was after I lost. Quake in Turtle Rock.
Let's see if in either of these respective dungeons our participants are traversing. We find the bow in either of them at this juncture.
If B minus finds that bow, B minus will be able to save Turtle Rock for last and then head to Ganon's Tower straight from there.
He will need to go to Death Mountain to be able to go to Skull Woods, so there is going to be a Death Mountain visit prior to fully completing this thing, so we'll just have to see how this all turns out.
He doesn't have to go to Skull Woods. I mean, yes, you would love to have the silver arrows.
Absolutely, excuse me. I misidentified Skull Woods there. I had, for whatever reason, thought it was Crystal. Pardon my gap there.
Believe me, the last race I commentated, I kept saying, oh, well, if they can go here and get the mirror. Oh, wait, they don't have the mirror. Oh, well, they could actually go here now because oh, wait, they don't have the mirror. Believe me, I'm prone to mistakes as well. We did find Vanilla Big Key in Turtle Rock.
Meanwhile, B minus appears to go ahead and will be checking the left side before facing Argus.
Yeah, that was the other thing that did me in my race was by the time I went into Swamp, I had to full clear it when my opponent just had to go mode it.
As absolutely where a good lot of time can be saved if you have that luxury of being able to forego this entire sequence.
Baker dragging the mimics along to hammer them.
All right, B minus getting out of the left side with just some bomb capacity upgrades to show for his work here, and we'll be hookshotting over across the gap here, and we'll be seeing what remains in this dungeon for him. Meanwhile, that's another 20 rupees for who42baker in the big key chest.
Yep.
All right, both of our runners at the verge of collecting a good amount of chests here. who42baker at the laser bridge, and B minus in the final 4 locations of Swamp Palace.
Yep. We're gonna get the first 2 here, Compass and Triple Bombs in Swamp.
Baker detouring a bit to get a little bit of health insurance before tackling the laser bridge.
All right, last chest in Swamp is an empty bottle. Ooh. Triple bombs.
At this point, Baker may behoove him to go ahead and employ the cape at this point to be able to get these chests.
Yeah, that's what he's gonna do here. Small key. Map. Last check. Gonna hit the safety door here, just in case. But he ain't gonna find that ice rod. He's gonna find 20 bucks.
And that's pretty much it for 42baker's Turtle Rock visit.
Alright, so we know Turtle Rock doesn't have the bow. Get a piece of heart from Argus, and that's 4 crystals for B-. Now, Turtle Rock is the other 5/6 crystal with Swamp, so it is possible that the bow could be on the Fat Fairy.
Most certainly, and with B- routing in the ice rod, he would be able to fully complete TR and be able to go that way with things. It looks like it's going to be a Bombos tablet. Check first, though.
And unfortunately, Baker is continuing to stay away from Desert Palace and instead go to Pod. Again, the only reason this is the wrong place because we know from B-, this is not, this is certainly not a bad play from Baker. You don't want to fault him. He just doesn't know what we know. Baker paying off Kiki the extortionist.
This may come across as incredibly nitpicky, but Baker also missing the opportunity to check Sahasrara with the green... no, he has not collected the green pennant. What am I talking about? It is way too late for me, apparently.
It happens. Yeah, the green pennant's at Skullwoods.
It is indeed. Again, misidentifying Skullwoods every possible way tonight.
I mean, we've had 2 pendant dungeons. Well, the boots aren't necessarily a required item, but they're certainly beneficial. And technically, the silver arrows are already in Skullwood, so they are, again, beneficial. But, I mean, it could be that Sahasrara is holding the bow.
At this point, it's going to be some degree of trolliness. It's just what form of trolliness will it turn out to be?
And unfortunately, that's as far as 242baker can go. And gonna have to bail out, so we're bow locked at this point.
Yes, indeed, B- is certainly desperate to find a bow at this juncture. Baker not only being bow locked, but flipper locked as well. It's just a matter of time before he decides to finally give the Desert Palace its due checking.
We haven't had a pyramid check or catfish check yet, have we?
Not that I can recall, and it looks like catfish is next on the agenda for Baker. And perhaps we'll get a pyramid check out of Minus as well, as it appears he is en route to it.
Just a heart container there. There's the bow! Catfish had it.
Okay, so that is one advantage Baker has over Minus. However, without the flippers, it's hard to say that that's really equalize things that much, but it is that is definitely something that Baker has over Minus at this point.
Especially because Minus is right on his tail and gonna get that bow. And I imagine once if B Minus remembers that the fire rod is on the floating island, B Minus is gonna know that he's effectively in go mode at that point.
Now, this pretty much cinches the fact that Baker will have a silver arrows advantage over Minus, but I'm not sure. Minus's lead is quite substantial at this point. I'm not sure if that's going to be able to cut enough of B Minus's advantage.
And unfortunately, just a life lesson from Zora. All right, B Minus about to pick up that bow from the catfish. Gonna mirror out and he's gonna do his Zora check. Anyway,
I would imagine at this point, after getting Zora out of the way, he will go ahead and tackle the Eastern Palace pod combo.
And unfortunately, with Baker finding that bow, he's going back to pod for. Well, okay, you can full clear pod, you can full clear aces, so this isn't necessarily bad. Just again, he's got to go to desert and get the flippers.
Yeah, the sequencing of this definitely not in Baker's favor at this point. That just opens up a litany of possible locations that the flippers could be in. But little does he know the flippers have been available to him for quite some time.
Alright, B minus gonna flute away. And heading to pod in Eastern, I imagine.
No question about it. He's going to go ahead and get these two dungeons out of the way, and then we'll be traveling to Death Mountain to complete his Fire Rod collection, achieve go mode, and be well on his way to reaching the finish line.
I gotta say, for this being B minus's first tournament, his routing has been, you know, some of the decisions he's made have been gambles, but once those gambles have paid off, like his routing has been pretty good because he's basically gonna do Pod Eastern here, then go up to Death Mountain, get the Fire Rod, turn around and hit the Turtle Rock, and then turn right back around and head to Gainus Tower.
Yep, very, very good routing, very efficient for B minus. The choice to go into Desert Palace certainly paying off for him, and that is definitely the X factor in this race.
B minus gonna mirror and do Eastern first. Certainly is a viable option. You just gotta beat Armos Knights from here.
And that is a fast big key for B minus, so he will not have to worry about checking any other location in Eastern Palace. He can just go straight to Armos Knights and get them dispatched.
All right, I forgot B minus never was in Eastern, but even with the big key, he's still electing to full clear it as opposed to just go moding it.
I imagine he is wanting silvers at this point. I can't think of any other item that he would be trying to find. He does get a blue potion though for his thoroughness.
Yeah, but to your point, I mean, the thing is, we know the silver arrows are in Skullwoods, which, you know, Temper Sword Silverless Ganon is not the best Ganon fight, but it's certainly not the worst.
Absolutely, yes. We definitely know that silvers are buried in Skull Woods. Ironically, the one pendant dungeon B minus has not given a thorough look over, but we will see if he continues searching for his silvers, or if he's just going to get on with it. Meanwhile, who42baker is full clearing pod.
mean, at this point, once he finishes pod and finishes Eastern, I mean, it's either you go to Skullwoods and you beat Mothula and hopes the hospital has what we know isn't there, or go to Desert.
Yeah, both. If he's been keeping track, he knows Skullwoods has been cleared, so the only benefit of defeating Mothula at this point would be the Sahasrara location. And B- not just getting the chests that are on the way, he did a full clear of Eastern Palace. So from my vantage point, it certainly looks like he is doing everything he can to get silver arrows in his possession.
If we get him in for an interview, we can certainly inquire about that. But I would agree with you. I think that's what he's doing at this point.
You'll be curious to see how desperate he is for silver arrows, or if there's going to come a point where he decides to forego them and move on to a silverless Ganon fight.
We will certainly know after Pod and Eastern if he goes to where he goes from there.
Now, if he decides to full clear Pod, that is going to be a real telltale sign, because that is a lot of time spent on an item that, with just a little bit of technique, can be avoided. But perhaps this is B-'s relative inexperience to racing showing itself.
Quick work of the Armos Knights, getting the 5th crystal for B-. B- is effectively going to have a 2-dungeon lead on Baker, so a comfortable lead, but it's not, you know, it can certainly change in a hurry. We want to get a shout out to Lai Lover, I guess is how you pronounce it, for a tier 1 sub. Thank you very much.
Your support is more than appreciated. Thank you very much for that tier 1 sub. Baker's giving King Helmasaur what for, and quickly switching to the mirror, so he'll be immediately going to Eastern Palace after he departs.
B- is into Pod at this point. It's certainly been a very healthy seed. Normally in Randomizer, you only see about 12 to 14 hearts, but we're at 17 right now.
Yep, both players equal on the health count. So they should have quite a fair bit of safety in all their future boss encounters, Ganon included. And let's see if B- goes straight for King Helmasaur from here, or if he decides to do a full clearing.
I imagine he's still looking for silver arrows. Yeah, he's gonna continue on.
very nice bonk back for B- to go back to the opening lobby of this dungeon. I have to believe at this point that B- does not consider himself in go mode. He must feel that he has to get the silvers in order to defeat Ganon comfortably.
Yeah, it all depends on his comfort level with doing Tempered Sword silverless.
All right, Baker, are you going to go ahead and give Desert Palace a check now?
That certainly looks like the play.
All right, so Baker now on his way to Desert. He is finally going to get the ability to swim that he has been lacking for so long compared to his opponent. And we're going to see if B- takes this much time finding silvers, which Baker already has at his disposal. This might become a much closer affair than we have been witnessing thus far.
And Baker deciding to not worry about that Cane of Brian. Yeah, for those that are just joining us, this is basically what you're seeing play out has been the bugaboo for both of these runners. B- early on went to Desert Palace, Pendant Desert Palace, we should note, and found the flippers, which Baker has been eluding Desert Palace this whole time. I mean, which is understandable being a pendant dungeon. Baker did go into Green Pendant Skullwoods and find the silver arrows. We know that the fire rod is on the floating island blocked by the mirror, so you would have to imagine at this point that B- thinks he's in go mode, but I imagine this is, as we've been speculating, this is continuing to search for the silver arrows.
Yes, B- is a little bit of a wild card. We are not 100% sure on his experience here. So given the amount of time that he's invested in this silver arrows hunt, I have to come to the conclusion that he either is not familiar with the silverless Ganon strats or is just certainly not confident in his ability to pull it off.
It also is possible he may not know the fire rod is on the floating island. It was Baker. I know Baker for certain was the one who, when we identified that that was where the fire rod was. I can't remember if B- saw that the fire rod was on the floating island. So this may also be continuing to search for the fire rod.
That is possible. I have to assume that at some point B- would have had the opportunity to see it. Now it's just a matter if he did see it, if he's remembered it, or who knows. But this is certainly opening the door for Baker to potentially mount a comeback.
Yeah, right now the crystal count is, once B- finishes Helmsar, it's going to be 6-4.
And for those also just joining us, we did have who42baker take a dive into Turtle Rock fruitlessly, so that's what's accounting for a good portion of the difference in these two runners' race at this point.
Yeah, we also know from B- doing Ice Palace that Cold Stare is holding the ice rod. And we know who42baker is going to basically full clear both swamp and ice, and it won't be until you get all the way to the end of ice that you find the item he's looking for. That is his go mode.
Yep, Baker definitely in a pick your poison scenario. Which of those dungeons do you want to full clear first? And unfortunately, Baker missing the coin flip there between those options.
All right, B- is going to mirror. I imagine he's going to flute out from here. This is a question of where does he go next? So going back to Death Mountain to get that fire rod? Certainly looks like the case. Yes, the book was in the bomb rocks. Renubus the Beard asking that in chat.
And this is looking like B- going up to Turtle Rock. Now, he will not find the silvers there to his, definitely to his dismay. It's just a matter of where he will, what he decides to do with that in mind.
All right, B- didn't know that the fire rod was on the floating island. He certainly would have seen it there.
Yeah, he just had a very split second to see it, but it certainly did show itself.
Now, I imagine you're gonna open up Turtle Rock here, so that way you don't have to do it again. You don't have to go through the warp again.
Absolutely.
Yep, and there's going to the floating island. So at this point, B- will probably full clear Turtle Rock looking for the silver arrows, won't find them. Probably at that point, you would hope he would just give up the, I don't want to say give up the, the search, but, head to Gideon's Tower from there.
Yeah, certainly those 20 plus locations in Ganon's Tower, if he is indeed considering silver arrows part of his go mode arsenal, certainly he would have to assume that Ganon's Tower is a very likely spot for those silvers.
Yep. But in any case, at 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 20 seconds, B- officially enters go mode.
And there's Baker dispatching Argus.
Ice Palace, I imagine, would be next up for him. Oh, he didn't do left side. He's going back.
Yep, with the ice rod still unknown to him, he is certainly leaving nothing to chance from his perspective. Unfortunately, he's just going to be able to carry 10 more bombs after he clears the left side.
And being able to carry 10 more bombs is unfortunately not going to help you in terms of finding that ice rod. We know it's on Cold Stare.
All right, B minus navigating the chain chomps.
Picking up the Quake Medallion there.
B minus getting a 4-for-1 deal on his fairy collection there, and he will be collecting the key from the pokey here, and will be encountering the big key at long last in the vanilla location.
Certainly indeed. All right, that'll do it for who42baker in Swamp Palace. And as predicted, Ice Palace is next on the agenda.
Now let's see if B minus just checks Mimic Cave, then we really know he is that desperate for silvers. And it looks like he is doing just that.
We know it's in Skullwoods to the right of the big chest. So this will unfortunately be a fruitless endeavor for B minus.
B minus about to collect the necessary small key to progress from in Turtle Rock here, and he'll be on the way to the laser bridge, which we know is relatively scant in value.
He is going to have to at least do it to get the small key to get to Trinex.
A very well done IPBJ by Baker. Very nicely done.
Yes, that Ice Palace bomb jump. For anyone new to Randomizer, that or speed running A Link to the Past at all, whether it's NMG or Randomizer, that bomb jump is one of the first ones you need to learn.
Minus taking the safety exit to ensure that if he does meet his demise here, that he'll have a relatively quick recovery period.
Using the Kane and Brian to navigate the lasers.
Yes, 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 indeed. Now he's about exhausted his magic supply, but luckily he will be able to refill his magic in the upcoming rooms.
Yep, get some magic refill there.
Yep, and as Baker enters the iced tea room, we have B- entering the Trinex fight.
Very quick work on the firehead.
Yep, wisely switching to the fire rod before dispatching it, so he's not having to wait to be able to do that switch of items. And down goes the ice half.
Down goes Trinex. And with that 7th crystal, B- will be on his way to Ganon's Tower. We like to play a game with the Ganon's Tower because there are 22 chests where the Ganon's Tower big key can be in the basement. If you want to put in a guess, please guess between 1 and 22 in terms of the order of chests that B- is going to search as he goes through this chest. CDV, what is your guess?
I'm going to go with, let's go with 12.
I always troll and go tile room number 22. All right, in we go. B- gonna do right side first. If you don't find a small key, you're going left. Well, there's small key number 1, piece of heart number 2.
And it looks like we have a right side check for B-.
Predictably gonna skip tile room.
And let's see if he gave himself enough time to get out of the room.
Yep.
Very nicely done. B- taking out his aggressions on those Gibdos and will be using the Cane of Samaria, which he's had since the first minute of this race.
Butter Sword number 3, Arrow of Destiny number 4, 5 bomb upgrade number 5, number 6, Piece of Heart. All right, gonna pick up a small key here and mirror back out to go do left side. And that's 6 crystals for who42baker. All right, number 7. There it is, the big key.
Shoutouts to WinFox470 for that call of the torch. So it looks like B- is resigned to a silverless Ganon, or at least not going to go ahead and do a full clear of Ganon's tower for those silvers. He is going ahead and progressing at this point.
I mean, that Butter Sword will certainly help. Butter Sword, if you're gonna do silverless, Butter Sword silverless is certainly the easiest one. I mean, shocking, I know, but still. Clutch getting that full magic drop from the red mimics.
Absolutely. That gives him, allows him to save his potions.
Now Baker has to. Baker is got Tempered Sword silvers at this point. He may get Butter Sword if he does go right side.
Now his Turtle Rock is cleared, so he is just gonna make a beeline for Trinex at this point. So we'll see if he is able to close the gap any at this point.
Unfortunately, Turtle Rock is one of the dungeons that is going to take a while getting all the way back to Trinex.
Absolutely. B- electing to detour to collect the fairies in this room, in this southern room.
Yep, get a health refill there. And in 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 50 seconds, B- enters the gauntlet. Once again, for this being B-'s first tournament, he certainly has put in the practice, because he looks, looks like a seasoned runner, so even for his first race.
Absolutely agree. Having no difficulty dealing with these initial gauntlet rooms.
B- almost done with Lambo 2. There we go. Yeah, at this point, it is B-'s race to lose, and it just comes down to execution. Missed the block, but still got 3 of the Wizrobes down.
And we see who42baker on the left side, definitely about to complete his revisit of Turtle Rock with Trinex forthcoming. B- taking a little bit of a breather here in the torch room.
Yeah, I think it was accidentally setting that first torch. He wanted to wait to get it off, get it unset to get the full time.
That certainly makes a lot of sense. But no matter, he is through, and we'll be ascending further to that bit closer to Moldrum 2 and Aga 2.
All right, we have the late shovel.
I'm getting a Key Sanity PTSD with that late Ganon Tower shovel.
Whoa, yeah. Forgot needs that key to get to Trolldorm 2.
And
Good.
I was just going to make the note that at 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 40 seconds, we have who42baker now entering Ganon's Tower right on B-'s heels.
And $100 of Trolldorm's life savings awaits him awaits B- in the final chest.
And Baker immediately finding the big key right away. He still needs to collect a small key, which he is about to do, but that definitely cuts into some of B-'s lead.
So basically, as B- exits the gauntlet, who42baker is going to enter it. So it really is just going to come down to B minus's silverless execution.
Absolutely. Initially, B minus had a lot of leeway to work with, but Baker definitely putting the pressure on, unbeknownst to B minus. B minus having some difficulty rebounding these shots into Agnem.
Yeah, and get the cycling getting to the point where the real Aga is warping away as the other two get their shots off. Ooh, but double kill and down goes Aga 2.
So at the 117th minute of play, we have B minus encountering Ganon.
All right, so it's going to be Butter Sword Silverless for B minus, Tempered Sword Silvers for who42baker.
All right, it's going to come down to the execution on this fight for B minus. Let's see how he does.
Very nice on the How You Like Me Now lyrics. And that Butter Sword getting right into phase 2 immediately. Ooh, he has a fairy.
Taking a lot of damage.
He has a fairy, though. Now, he also has potions. He's got safeties. He just has to be conscious of them. Phase 3 for B minus. Missing Ganon there. Gets him the second time.
Minus equipping the lamp in preparation for activating the torch glitch.
All right, there's 2. 3.
And it looks like who42baker having some difficulty dispatching Landmo 2 with the fire rod.
All right, here we go. We're on to phase 4 for B minus. Gets that torch glitch. You relight the left torch before the right one goes out. The right one will never go out.
Ooh, B minus taking some damage there. He's got to be careful.
He's got the pattern down. You got to move as the fire bat moves, and then spin slash as Ganon is teleporting away.
B minus on the verge of finishing this out.
Cutting it very close to the health. Gotta be careful. But making good. He's doing good.
I believe he's just 1 or 2 spin slashes away from victory. Oh, he's down to 1 heart.
Yeah, get that. Oh!
That opens the door wide open for Baker.
But he has another fairy.
Oh, indeed he does. I believe he's 1 slash away.
Maybe more. Missed it there. Yeah, he's still got more slashes.
Yes, he does.
All right, he's getting his blue potion out. Yeah, he's been taking a lot of damage, but so far so good. Oh, almost.
Oh, wow. Just a pixel away from falling. minus tantalizingly close to finishing this out. Meanwhile, Baker is just past Moldorm 2 and is a couple rooms away from Aga.
Unfortunately, B minus is out of safeties at this point. This is there it is.
Just past the 2-hour mark, we have B minus finally dispatching Ganon and taking the victory.
That was intense, but GG to B minus. A+ effort indeed, and B minus finishes with an official SRTV time of 2 hours and 52 seconds. Spam those GGs in chat.
And scene.
And who42baker is into Aga, finishing off Aga 2 and going to be heading to Ganon here shortly.
Baker will have the luxury of dispatching Ganon with the silvers, albeit in a losing effort, but a valiant effort from Baker all the same.
So understandably, with it being late, B minus is going to forego the interview, but he did want to say that was his first ever silverless run.
A trial by fire, learning silverless on the fly. Got to give B minus credit for attempting that in such a pressure-filled situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have had some mic trouble there, but I just wanted to reiterate that B minus said that was his first ever silverless fight, so props to him for doing that.
And who42baker finishing off Ganon with his silvers. Going to get a time just under 2 hours and 4 minutes. Very well done by Baker.
Yep, once he gets through the door, we'll get you in the official time. And that finishes off with an official SRTV time, of 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 50 seconds. GG to who42baker.
Absolutely. Feel free to give either of these runners a follow for their efforts. Both these runners definitely deserving that follow button attention.
Yes, be sure to also follow our tracker Darkened Sky, as well as my co-commentator CDB.
And why not follow Jexarefi while you guys are at it? Come on.
Oh, thank you. And who42baker is going to join us for an interview, but needs to take a moment, and we'll get him in.
All right.
So props to B minus. That was a a great race by him, you know, and that was very intense for your first time doing a silverless Ganon fight, but he was able to get it done and got that win.
Absolutely. That's as I said previously, that is a trial by fire, if you will, to learn silverless on the fly in your first match of a tournament. But better late than never, I suppose. And hopefully he can take this experience and improve on his Ganon fight to give himself a chance to proceed on in this tournament.
Practice certainly makes perfect. So, while we're waiting for who42baker, it is as we've been saying all day, we have 512 runners in this race, and that means we have 256 races we got to get in a week. So, this has been a jam-packed day of Randomizer, and we've got a ton more coming tomorrow. And joining us in chat is who42baker GG.
Thanks. That was fun. I have a question for you, though.
Sure.
If you were paying attention when I was in Meyer, how many items did I get?
I believe 2.
Okay, good. Because I got really, really worried that I had only gotten 1.
No, you got both of them.
Okay.
There was, I don't believe there was anything of relative value anyway, so even if you did just collect just one item, I don't think you were missing out on all that much.
Well, the one item I was hoping to get was the mirror, and I got that there. But I couldn't remember if I got all the items, and then a key dropped from Vidi, and I was like, oh no, I may have forgotten to check the big chest, and that might have been an item. I don't know.
Our tracker Darkened Sky was saying that it was just an arrow upgrade in Meyer.
Okay. Alright, that's fine then.
So, I say this having done the same not a mistake, but having the same thing happen to me in my race yesterday, but Flippers in Pendant Desert.
I knew I was behind before that. I got debated by Total Rock.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
I was so certain that there was something there too. I could feel it. I just knew it. I was going through it. There's got to be something there. There's got to be something there. And I got to the end of Laser Bridge, and I'm just like, oh no, I've screwed up horribly.
Yeah. It's B- made an early play into Thieves Town, Pendant Thieves Town, and got the boots. And shortly after that, made an early play, made the desert play, and got the flippers. So B- had the flippers for a long time in this race.
Okay. I don't know. Thieves Town, I was trying something different. And I usually, when I go to Dark World, go directly into the Village of Outcasts, hit up Skull Woods, and then Thieves Town, clear it out, regardless of whether it's a pendant or a crystal. Because it's always got something. And I thought, okay, I'll try something new. Somebody was telling me that Hype Cave's always got some progression when you get the hammer early. So I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's go for it. And it had Bombos, it had Titan's Mitt, so I'm like, all right, this is working out. And then I grabbed the Smith, and I was like, I don't remember if I can bring him in dungeons. I'm going to try, and if I can't, oh well. Thieves Town is a pendant. It can't possibly have anything.
The boots certainly helped.
Yeah, I saw boots there, and I'm like, darn. I just like, ah. I don't know, I felt like it was one bad play after another for me. Holding off on Desert, holding off, going into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to knock yourself, but you know it's really just a matter of it being unfortunately in the last place you look. As I said during the race, it's very difficult to criticize holding off Desert with just 2 items, it being a pendant. So it's just an unfortunate the sequence of you collecting items, which just opened up more and more potential possibilities for those flippers when the flippers were available from practically the start, definitely just really making it more difficult for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, it didn't help. I kept thinking, oh, it could be here, and if it's here, it's perfect for my route. Then it's like, it's not here. Oh no. Oh, it's not here either. It's gotta be in Turtle Rock. It's gotta be. It's like, it's not. No. Why?
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean,
that was a fun race.
Yeah, and for all the problems you had, you know, B minus did really well. He had really good execution, except for the fact that he had never done a silverless Ganon fight, and he never went to Skullwood. So it was for all of those problems. It was a little tense there at the end watching B minus fumble his way through a first ever silverless Ganon, but Buttersword was on right side, so he was able to get it done.
Oh, so he grabbed Butter?
Yeah, but he went right side. Buttersword was in the 4 chest room right before
so he did the he must have done the normal route where you go right first, then if you get a key, you keep going. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
I was going stupid route where you go left, grab the Stalfos room, mirror, do tile room, go full right. And
that paid off huge for you. That really lessened the gap at that time, because I believe he didn't go all the way through right side. He did mirror out after getting to 4, but that definitely made things a lot more interesting at that point.
Yeah, I saw the key on Torch and I'm like, great, it paid off once in the last like 20 seeds I've played. You have validated this route and I'm going to keep going. I'm never going to stop doing this.
Well,
and it's going to kill me later.
Hey, I mean, the good thing about this tournament is that the bracket stage drops from 512 to 128. So just because you have one loss, you certainly are not out of this tournament by no means.
Yeah, I think I've got to go 5-2 at the worst if I want to get into brackets, but I don't think I'm gonna make it. I'm just here to have fun and see if I can get 2 wins.
That's how it usually works for most of us here. So, any final thoughts?
GG to B minus. And congrats on his first silverless go. It's great to have that done and to do it in a tournament race even more.
Especially sub 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, all right, CDV, any final thoughts from you?
I think that'll do it for me, man. Once again, congratulations to B minus, and very well done, Baker. All the same, very valiant effort, man. Good job.
Yes, indeed. So again, a final time, please be sure to follow both of our runners, who42baker and B minus. They put on quite the show for you, as well as our tracker Darkened Sky, my co-commentator CDV. And with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up, and I gotta go to bed.
I am right behind you on that one, Jax referee. And that will do it for Randomizer for the evening. And our next race will be in about 7 hours from now. So everyone have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you find yourselves. And thanks again for watching.
Have a good evening.